James Melendez, James All About Business. Today, I'm going to talk to you about growth and responsible mindset. It's to help you move your organization forward. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you about this very valuable subject matter. Stay tuned. I think to me, it's really apparent that a growth and responsible mindset is needed because the symptoms of the organization out there are really alarming, disturbing, in fact. So in August of this year, 2021, 4.3 million people quit their jobs. I also put in here the myths of effective performance improvement plans. That is 80% of them fail. So what I'll be talking about is growth and responsible mindset. That sometimes when I look at a PIP, and I've seen this happen in organizations, in one organization where I was the chief of staff, the organization instituted a PIP, and every time that was done, there was almost 100% certainty that person would not pass that PIP. And that's really unfortunate, and that really speaks volumes of that organization. So the organization complained about retention, it complained about turnover, it complained about not finding enough qualified candidates, and at the same time, not only did it have a problem with PIPs or instituting too many PIPs, it also had a problem with, say, 40 to 50% of individuals on a yearly basis were at a does not meet or partially meets expectation. In that framework, actually, if the organization had that true number, the organization would fail, and that would be a really severe impact on the organization, the network that was within that organization, and that is something to think about. The organization, and as a chief of staff, I would push back or I would even question why things were done. And the HR business function, and probably like a lot of HR business functions in companies, tend to always side with the manager as opposed to really probing and understanding the situation. Why was an employee hired to begin with? That doesn't mean that all employees are going to work out for an organization. That doesn't mean necessarily that all employees are bad either. So when you think about it, I think there's an issue, and it's often a personal issue versus a professional issue. So in the framework of growth and responsible mindset, I definitely think about this in terms of that people are allowed to make a failure, not necessarily a catastrophic one or one that is really questioning the organization in terms of, say, regulatory bodies. I mean, there's a lot of failure that happens. Some people are, given the permission that it's okay. Many people are not. It's a scarlet letter, in fact, for many people. So I do stop here and say that this is a really interesting feature, and one where I think it really needs to be pulled back, and HR needs to really lead that. And HR seems to not lead very many things. They're involved in a lot of things, but this is one where leadership is needed and necessary. And it also speaks to why a growth and responsible mindset is really needed at every organization. So 61% of Americans are reporting that they're burnt out of their jobs. So 1 out of 4 employers in this country, in the United States, have an engagement strategy. Now, this is important to look at because the cost of not having a growth and responsible mindset is many. And, we often in college look at Maslow as something we learn about his, hierarchy of needs. So foundational needs are from psychological to esteem needs. Growth needs are from cognitive to transcendent. When I was learning about Maslow, it was always self-actualization was the top of the pyramid here. So a lot of writers include transcendence, which I think is important. And looking at organization, the need for it is because organizations have a lot of unhappy employees. There's a lot of turnover. There is consistently low engagement, quality execution, dissatisfied customers. The organization is not ready for change. That's a huge issue, especially in this competitive world. We've been in this competitive world for a very long time, and yet many organizations are not ready to calibrate, to work, and deal with change that they must work with. Now, there's also individuals. There's a feeling of lack of control, unfulfilling work, change resistant, not resilient, giving up easily, and so forth. These actually do speak to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when these aren't being met, the individual is unhappy, but also the organization is feeling that effect, right? The organization is something where it is really set upon how is it performing, what's the quality of product, the quality of services. So this is really something that's noticeable. So to the customers who are the buyers of the products and services of a company do feel the effects when a company has really a low engagement, has low quality products, has considerable problems internally that manifest in terms of products and services. Framing mindsets, I think this is really an essential thing to do because I often hear, first of all, there are many definitions for mindsets, and sometimes they're misunderstood and misapplied. Mindsets are thought of as a synonym for attitude, yet mindsets are much richer and incorporate attitude and much, much more. Simply, if we start with interchanging the word attitude for mindset and vice versa, we are increasing a confusing and misleading fullness of the word itself. Applying mindset for culture and organizational development is one important step to address employee disengagement and empower each person in an organization. Hence, that organization can reap the benefits of this mindset, the growth and responsible mindset. There are fewer mindsets than most people think. Not everything is a mindset. We hear it today. I hear things like positive mindset, maybe in a job description, or social mindset, or a business mindset, short-term mindset. Sometimes if you dig deeper on that, there's really not anything other than a single word that is really replacing mindset. For, say, the benefits mindset is an opportunity seeker. Maybe a positive mindset is a positive outlook. Maybe business mindset is really aptitude. So when I look at these things, I truly wonder and question, what is a mindset? Because if we have too many mindset, it really diminishes the power of what mindset really is. Now, here's an historical perspective. I think Google Books and Graham Viewer is a really nice tool to look at. Input mindset, and you get this output. Now, what I like about this is it shows that this is a word that's starting to be utilized in the 1980s, and it has a steep upward climb to this day. I think to myself that I always, thought the word mindset was always in use or existence, or at least for a very long period of time prior to 1980. And yet it's a very modern phenomenon. It's a way we think about this word, how it's applied, and even misapplied. Dr. Carol Dweck published Mindset, the New Psychology of Success in 2006. So that actually wasn't that long ago. So she talks about parenting, business, school, and relationships. It's a really easy read, one that I did in the afternoon, and that's quite applicable. So this is for the individual as well as the organization. So a mindset definition is a set of beliefs, values, assumptions held by an individual or group of people. Growth mindset has its foundation in decision theory and general systems theory. So a mindset is an individual in this example here. And this is showing that its experiences, fears, core beliefs, values, thoughts, senses, and attitudes. So it's not just one single thought. It's just not an attitude. It's many other things that incorporate and roll up to being a mindset. It's also, in terms of an organization, what is a platform of that organization? Their vision, mission, values, goals, strategy, structure, action plans, and so forth. All these come together to really be that mindset, say the growth, and what I'm going to talk about is responsible mindset. So growth mindset is one mindset. Responsible mindset is another. So it's equal to a growth and responsible mindset. In terms of many organizations could and should be utilizing this approach in this platform for mindset. I think it's important to think about, yes, you can use growth mindset, say, individually or personally. I think it's an important feature to think about. So how you think about doing this. Growth mindset to me is a power of yet, and the responsible mindset is a power of yes. Now, this framework is important for helping the organization to move forward, to think about their place and how they have a relationship with their stakeholders, with their employees. And so this is a really important feature. Sometimes in an organization, they just want a workshop on growth mindset, which I'm happy to give. I do an intake and understand what the needs are, and also give some fuller pictures of why an organization might want to do, say, a responsible mindset. Or perhaps I think combining these both. I think I do this more often, which is a growth and responsible mindset for many organizations, because I think this is needed today. So mindsets are also their opposites, which is growth versus fixed mindset, responsible versus victim mindset. These particular mindsets, I think, are really essential to look at in terms of a system of thinking, a platform of thinking. So when I look at this also, I think about this in terms of growth versus fixed mindset, for example. This is a way to think about where people come from. And just because you have a fixed mindset today doesn't mean you'll have that tomorrow. It means you can actually move forward on that. It also means you can actually go between them. It depends on the situation. This is actually to position and to promote people to think perhaps in a different way than they've done before, and to give them the option that there are ways of framing this in a way that makes sense to them. Some examples from growth mindset are, I learned from challenge. I'm inspired by other people's accomplishments. Change represents an opportunity for me. So one could say this is a positive mindset, but it's much more than that. It's actually a growth mindset that allows a person to change over time and to accept this particular framework, versus a fixed mindset, which is, I'm not good with numbers. I've never been able to write. I prefer not to try new things. So people sometimes who have a fixed mindset are often those who are unwilling to make the change. They believe that there's a reason why they believe what they believe. Hey, I can actually move to a growth mindset and accomplish more. Responsible versus victim mindset. This is really important to think about because, yes, it's part of an organization and how people react and move and take action in an organization or even do not take action. So in a responsible mindset, it is I'm integral. That means I'm integral to the organization or to my family. I own the outcomes of the actions not taken. So if something's not done, it is my responsibility. I take responsibility for not getting that completed. I believe in owning my role for making things happen. And so that really applies again to family or even to the organization itself. Victim mindset is I always have to defend myself. I can never make a difference in my role. I cannot change what occurs. So there's a lot of things you can think about and things you've probably heard people say. So this is, I think a really important mindset, responsible versus victim mindset. So the responsible versus victim mindset. Victim mindset is when I present this material, first of all, in a workshop setting, sometimes people don't realize they have a victim mindset. Most people don't even think in this framework. They don't think of responsible versus victim mindset. And they don't even think of their words as being a victim mindset, yet it is. But when people become aware of it, they really don't want to be there for the most part. Most people don't want to be in the victim mindset. They really want to take a responsible mindset so they can make things happen. It's an ownership, right? And with that ownership becomes an ability to make a change, to make a difference. When I look at growth and responsible mindset, combining these together, there's some really great phrases here. And I've created these because this is probably things you might hear in a growth and responsible mindset setting. I'm part of a solution to helping good things happen. I seek clarity when things might be ambiguous or uncertain. I believe I can make a difference in any given instance. I'll let you read the rest. So people in an organization can adopt this mindset. And I think it's not just one where you flip on a light switch, but it's something that you practice over time. You accumulate these experiences. When I give a workshop, I give an example, I give an exercise to a team. And that's to use this language. So the last one here, I seek to resolve any roadblocks for me and my teammates. So when people start to think and actually verbalize and use this language, it becomes part of a mindset that they really want to be in. And there is something that I think is in it for everyone in terms of growth and responsible mindset. It does pay dividends to you in the future in terms of your future success, in terms of being happier, finding clarity. And I think it's really, having an opportunity to participate in something that's positive. So people are happy and want to participate in something they can actually make a difference in, to be a positive experience for them and to actually model that for even maybe their children, maybe their relatives, maybe a coworker. And I think a lot of people get excited about this. I do see successes in organizations that implement growth and responsible mindset. So when an organization uses growth and responsible mindset, it is the power of yet and the power of yes. The power of yet is I've yet to accomplish this particular goal. I've yet to pass that exam. I've yet to pass this certification. And the power of yes is, yes, I own this particular issue. I own the ability to make a change on this. So the growth and responsible mindset is an empowerment, and one where I think this framework helps people to verbalize this and to think about this more often. So it's not just for individual contributors, it's for the entire organization. So department, division, whatever it might be. It includes people such as obviously the stakeholders of an organization, the associates, team members, managers, individual contributors, even the leaders themselves, so that they're starting to use this language. And also, it's not just using the language. When I use the power of yet, I specifically point that out because when people start to think about this, they're able to really move into a different space. And that power of yet is something that is important. I think organizations, and when I mentioned earlier and began this conversation, so when people go to a PIP, performance improvement plan, 80% failure rate is not a thing to be proud of, and this is something that is happening way too often. When I think an organization adopts a growth and responsible mindset, it is really incumbent on the leadership and managers, people managers, to think about how they institute these things. It's for people to seek clarity, to seek improvement, not necessarily failure from their organization's individual contributors. So a scarlet letter is not a permanent mark on people. It shouldn't be. And that's something where if you've hired a person, you believed in them strong enough to believe they have the ability to do the job. Because they failed at a certain action does not mean they're a failure as a person or a failure as an individual contributor. Organizations need to promote an environment and culture of growth and responsible mindset. Ultimately, the best thing an organization can do is to create a culture. It's not just to create a program or learning on growth and responsible mindset. It's actually to make things happen. Just as I mentioned before, the example of a PIP, you can actually think about this in terms of, well, in a culture of growth and responsible mindset, that wouldn't happen. That's because the organization has created a culture. This is something that is actually lived out and actioned upon. Reframing of failure is something that's temporary and not a state that people prefer to be in. Organizations fail when they fail their employees. Again, I talked about the scarlet letter. It leaves a deep mark, and the individual should be recognized holistically, not just on one particular act. No organization can live in a perfected world that are only meant for a few people, and that's because organizations need people to operate, and it needs a lot of people to operate. It depends on the organization, the industry, and so forth, so it can't just rely on a few, and only a few people do not represent the entire organization. There's a lot of stakeholders. Team success is by a plan and by activation. Now, I can help you and your organization. I can design a workshop and execute that workshop for your team's needs. I definitely recommend starting from the top and moving downward to other layers in your organization to talk about this methodology. It's an important thing to think about for an offsite you might be having. Maybe you're having somebody coming back from the pandemic and you're coming back to the office, or a hybrid organization. I'm happy to present this material to your organization, to your individual contributor community, and your leadership as well. So reach out to me. I'm happy to talk, give an intake, and understand your particular organization's needs. So thank you so much for watching today. I do appreciate it. I appreciate your support. Please give a like and also share this video with somebody who might be interested in this subject matter. Thank you for watching. I will see you again very soon.